Okay, so another sonnet. This will be sonnet 7. So the 4 stages are: we read the rhyming couplet, we read the last words, we break it into 4 sections, then we mark the breaths and the césures. Okay, so the rhyming couplet. So thou thyself ongoing in thy noon, unlooked on, diest, unless thou get a son. So, unless you have kids, you're perishing. So another one about, having kids. Let's look at the last words, because the last words help us get like a flavour of what the sonnet's going to be about, themes and things. So we've got light, eye, sight, majesty. So light eye, maybe there's a light in your eye to do with fancying someone or something. Sight, majesty. Well, majesty sticks out. Like there's some great kingly, royal thing to be gained from this information. Hill, age, still, pilgrimage. Pilgrimage sticks out. You must go on this journey. Hill, age is coming to you always. So that's always a thing in Shakespeare. Car, day, our way. Now, none of those words particularly stick out. Car, day, our way. So let's skip over those. Noon and sun are the last two. So noon, often Shakespeare associates times of the day with times in your life, age. So the noon of your day is maybe halfway through your life. Do you have kids yet? Sort of thing. Okay, so let's break it into the 4 sections. So each sonnet is 14 lines, which is 12 lines plus a rhyming couplet. So we'll break it into 3 groups of 4, and then the group of 2. The first one is after majesty, the next one's after pilgrimage, the next one's after way, and the next one's obviously sun. Let's mark in the breaths. So the first breath would be at the start, and the last breath at the end. Always mark in the start and the end. And then what we do is we mark in the sentence endings. So a sentence can end in 3 ways: full stop, exclamation mark, question mark. So do we have those? At pilgrimage, the end of the 2nd section. At way, the end of the 3rd section. And at sun. So you've got 3 sentences. In the version I've got here, which is just this online version I'm using, at the end of the 1st section we've got a colon. I think it's a colon, it's a semicolon, can't quite see. Semicolon after majesty. So we wouldn't immediately mark a breath in there, but the breaths gives us the shape of our thoughts, and we speak through to the end of our thoughts. But we've got 8 lines, an 8-line sentence, which is too long for us to breathe, and obviously there'll be thoughts we can pick out there. So what are the next biggest punctuation? Well, it's colon, semicolon. So we've got majesty. What else in the 1st quarter? That's it. We've got comma at the end of day in the 3rd quarter, comma at the end of noon. In the 1st quarter, comma at the end of sight.
Passengers travelling abroad are reminded to check UK foreign travel advice to stay up to date on the latest developments for your destination, even if you are returning to a place you visited before. For those returning to the UK, all passengers, including those visiting countries exempt from self-isolation requirements, are reminded to complete the government's passenger locator form before entering the UK.
The UK prison service has us all as members now, which is nice. Okay, but an even sonnet, you're likely to breathe at the end of every other line. But let's check in the 1st quarter, the first 4 lines. Lo in the Orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under eye doth. You see, we've got a comma after head, so it's likely that the breath might be there. So, lo in the Orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under eye doth homage to his new appearing sight, serving with looks his sacred majesty. Or we do the breath at the end of the 3rd line, like this. Lo in the Orient, when the gracious light lift up the burning head, each under eye doth homage to his new appearing sight, serving with looks his sacred majesty. I think that's better, because the first 3 lines are all like one sort of contained thought. Then we have the final summation of that thought. Next quatrain. And having climbed the steep up heavenly hill, resembling strong youth in middle age, yet mortal looks adore his beauty still, attending on his golden pilgrimage. Well, you've got that comma at the end of age, and I think that's where the breath is. The thought seems to be broken into the 2 lines. So it's 2 lines, then 2 lines. So we mark a breath in age. third quarter. But when from the highmost pitch with weary car, like feeble age, he reeleth from his day, we've got the comma, the eyes fortuitous now converted are from his low tract and look another way. So again, that's an even breath. So the breath after the second line of the third quarter. So the breath is at day, final rhyming couplet. So thou thyself ongoing in thy noon, unlooked on, diest unless thou get a son. Okay, that's fine. Now, the next section is the Césures. The Césures are the natural break in the line. To be or not to be, that is the question. You see, each line is usually made of two phrases. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? And this one, lo in the orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under sun, doth homage to his new appearing light. Doth homage to his new appearing light. So, at orient, at head, at homage, serving with looks, Césure, his sacred majesty. Let's cut to the end. Let's assume we've marked them in, and I'll put up on the screen a version of where I've marked in all the Césures. So remember, the Césure isn't a breath, isn't a pause either. It's just, to be or not to be. That is the question. It's just understanding the flow of the thought. So it's after thyself and after diest. Often the Césure is on a comma. You've got a comma in the first line of the rhyming couplet. So thou, comma, thyself ongoing in thy noon. So thou, thyself. But I think it's so thou thyself. I think that's one block of thought. Ongoing in thy noon is the second block of thought. So I'd put the Césure after thyself. Lo in the orient when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under eye doth homage to his new appearing sight, serving with looks his sacred majesty. And having climbed the steep up heavenly hill, resembling strong youth in middle age, yet mortal looks adore his beauty still, attending on his golden pilgrimage. But when from highmost pitch with weary car, like feeble age he reeleth from the day, the eye fortuitous now converted are from his low tract, and look another way. So thou thyself ongoing in thy noon, unlooked on diest unless thou get a son. So basically, it's another one of those, you've got to have kids sonnets. And just like the day will finish, so will your life finish. And the only way to live forever is by having kids. It's odd that has become a contentious thought these days. But there is in our culture now a big move towards not having kids, of which myself am a victim. But hey, rock and roll and 1,000 things to do before you die. Anyway, Shakespeare knows something that we've forgotten.